this bill.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the honourable member Chris Okenvold.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You're welcome.
And I rise to speak in opposition to this holiday's full recognition. Wait, there's more. Full recognition of Waitangi Day and Anzac Day Amendment Bill. And I do so because I believe that this bill has received a fair hearing from the committee, and I would like to say that it has been particularly well articulated by Dr. David Clark, who has articulated his arguments singularly well. Dr. David Clark. And in spite of that, he gave it his very best shot. And I will be the last to criticise a member for giving his best to his own bill that was drawn out of the ballot. He's done it extraordinarily well, but in spite of that, in spite of his prowess, I still find he hasn't argued a reason to support the bill, nor does the committee support the bill. It's a pleasure always to follow Barbara Stewart as a speaker. She speaks fulsomely and fervently. But having just experienced my own attempt to bring accompany a bill through the House, and having been unnecessarily savaged by Dennis O'Rourke from the New Zealand Post, I'm going to only be nice to Dr. David Clark. But the bill, in fact, will have very little substantive effect to days which matter a great deal, and these days really do matter a great deal to New Zealanders. And the substantive effect, other than in quite rare situations, and it does really nothing to address the real issues facing employees and employers. But it's a good sort of wallpaper job. National is focused on ensuring our employment relations framework is fair and flexible. We need to provide businesses with the confidence to take on staff while ensuring the rights of employees are well protected. This bill, while very nice sounding, does not address an actual substantive issue in the economy or the employment market. And if I kept looking for those bits in it, but no, they weren't there. Well, yes, but you know, Anzac and Waitangi Day have special significance for every New Zealander. For most New Zealanders, Anzac Day is an occasion to formally pay tribute, to remember all New Zealanders killed in war, and also to honour returned servicemen and women. A day of commemoration, memories, a time to give honour to those who gave so much. I really treasure the Anzac Days that, as an MP, one is fortunate enough to get invited to. And they are really wonderful occasions. And what is great is that the new generation are coming in ever greater numbers. And that's wonderful to see. It's a tribute to the modern generation, but also, of course, it's a tribute to the historical role played by our soldiers in New Zealand. So too, Waitangi Day is an occasion to remember our nation's history, including its formation, its great advances, and the things we've done together in a bicultural sense, now in a multicultural sense as a nation. A time of fresh considerations. I've seen it in so many moods. I used to live in the far north, in Hokianga, and going across to Waitangi was always a pleasure. Say again?
Didn't quite fit in there either.
Oh, I don't know about that. I really gloried in my Hokianga days. But we'd go across to Waitangi, and we've seen so many different styles. They used to have picnic days, and they were always good fun. Picnic days, and then there was Norm Kirk's pageant. That was a remarkable event for those of us who are old enough to remember it. And then we entered the difficult times of dissent and sometimes despair. It's an ever-changing socio-political day. This bill, with all due respect to Dr. Clark, this bill will not increase the importance of these days at all, nor does this bill seem to understand why public holidays exist. It'll create an extra day or two where businesses are forced to close or work under reduced hours, but it won't do anything to grow the weight of history that makes these days worthy of being so important that they require people to stop their routines to reflect, which is, after all, the reason we have public holidays, so that we can remember, pay tribute, teach the next generation of why we as a nation, where we are and what was sacrificed to get us here. This also won't culminate, this bill, in a dramatic increase in days off for workers, even though it might be painted that colour. That's not going to be the effect. Next time both holidays fall on a weekend is 2021. Waitangi Day alone is in 2016. Anzac Day is in 2015. Well, they might be calling for a referendum, Mr. Hanari. They may well call for a referendum. A referendum is something you call for when you can't make up your own minds. That's what I was always taught. This also, and that's maybe the style that New Zealand First likes to work to. But this won't also culminate in a dramatic increase in days off for workers. Despite David Clark saying this will mean that all workers now get 11 paid holidays, David, that's not quite true. If you actually don't work on a Monday anyway, let's say on a shift basis, well, you won't get Queen's birthday or Labour Day on their next working day. I think that little one slipped past you. But it's for these straightforward reasons that the Transport and Industrial Relations Committee, chaired responsibly and reasonably by my colleague David Bennett, yes, worthy of a here. He chairs the meetings well, but we really did, David, Dr. Clark, we really did treat your bill seriously. And you gave a very articulate presentation and we responded to it responsibly. We took it seriously. But we did recommend that it be not passed. To do so would achieve so little. However, if the House decides that the bill should proceed, then the committee recommends that it adopt the following amendments, just to help it a little bit. We would like to amend Clause 2, or suggest that Clause 2 should be amended to specify the 1st of January 2014 as the commencement date. Public access to legislation is improved by the inclusion of a specific commencement date. The first day which would be affected by this legislation is Anzac Day in 2015. This recommended commencement date would allow a full year for the public to prepare for the legislation. E.g., for example, revising contracts and other legal instruments that include, quote, working day or, quote, business days. These are important aspects of suddenly introducing, well, you can't suddenly introduce things, you have to allow the public to prepare. We'd amend Clause 5, inserting a new section, 45A, to sections 44B in the bill as introduced by amending new subsection 45A2 to make it clear that an employee would not be entitled to more than one public holiday or Waitangi Day or Anzac Day. There are a few other new clauses we would introduce, Mr. Speaker. Consequential amendments to various court rules would also be required by convention. These are made by order in council after consultation with the Rules Committee. While these amendments do not resolve the overarching issues of the bill, being wholly unnecessary, accomplishing very little and arguably not improving the economy or the job market, it would make the bill more workable. We're elected to legislate. That's how the opposition has chosen to put forward this bill, and they're free to do so. And we encourage them and we endorse the efforts that Dr. Clark has made. The national government in this case chooses differently. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the honourable member.